Now you may have seen these multi-driver earphones, right? Dual driver, triple driver, quad driver. Some of them are even ridiculous, having 6 or more drivers. What the hell does it even mean? And does it mean these are better? You see, starting from the basics, a driver is basically a unit that produces sound. There are various kinds of drivers, but for the purpose of this discussion, we can just focus on two. The first one is a dynamic driver. It's the one that you see with the diaphragm moving that moves the air and produces sound. It's the most simplistic and oldest variety, and it's extremely widespread. Like you will see it everywhere on giant boom boxes, on your laptop speakers, even on your phone and your earphones too. It's quite simple to make, so it's commonly used. But you may have also seen speakers like these with multiple drivers. But there are instances where a single driver may not be the best performing one, in which case they introduce a secondary driver, and usually these are called balanced armature drivers. They are very small compared to dynamic drivers, and they are assigned only to highlight the upper range of frequencies. So the idea is that balanced armature will handle higher frequencies and dynamic drivers will handle lower frequencies like bass and sub bass. So essentially it gives you a fuller sound. I mean, that's the concept. But the problem with having that setup in an earphone is that it's a tiny enclosure. Look how small this is. So having 2 or more drivers in this area doesn't give it enough path to travel in a meaningful manner. I mean, just look at the opening there. No matter how many drivers you have in this body, they all have to come out of this opening. Don't you think all the sound frequencies will be mushed together anyway? Was there ever a point of separating them? The reason why it works so well with speakers is that speakers are usually far away from your ears, right? At least a couple of feet. So they have a couple of feet of air to get to your ears, which means they can spread over a larger area, so they give you a better experience. That's not even close to the area that you have here. And in some ways, earphone manufacturers know this, which is why they kind of advertise the column length, right? 9mm chamber, 11mm. That's basically the distance that it has inside to travel out. But still, even though 11 or 12mm may be impressive for a tiny earphone, it doesn't justify having multiple drivers in that casing. In fact, a good quality dynamic driver will outperform a crappy multi-driver setup. And that's why many companies actually include just one good dynamic driver and they forget about a multi-driver setup. And again, while it makes sense for speakers, for earphones and maybe even headphones, it may not matter as much because they are so close to your ears. So don't make this a primary criteria for you to purchase something. I have tried dual driver and multi-driver earphones before, and even though I did find the sound to be a little bit different, that's likely because the dynamic drivers themselves were better tuned. I don't think it's the multi-driver setup itself that was causing the better sound output. I mean, these multi-driver ones are fairly cheap, so if you want to get them, you can. But fair warning, they may not even be working at all. They may just be a driver for show. Just like how some smartphones have a extra camera sensor, which is like a 2-megapixel shitty unit which doesn't do anything, but they include that sensor to say triple camera setup, which sounds amazing, but it's not really good. Same deal with this, having a triple driver setup sounds amazing, but that extra driver may be completely garbage, which doesn't even do anything. It's fine if you're buying it anyway, but don't make these multi-drivers a point for purchasing your product. Just focus on a good quality dynamic driver one and you'll be fine. If you want a starting point, I'll leave some of my suggestions for good quality earphones in the description. Mostly will be IEMs, so you can go take a look and start from there.